Tonight, Congressman Ruiz is responding to the recent statement from Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. Both men have accused the other of putting politics ahead of what's best for people during the pandemic. I spoke today with the congressman. Congressman Ruiz, thanks for joining us again.
It's good to be here.
Last week when I had you on this program, you specifically mentioned Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. You said that he flat out thinks wearing masks or a stay-at-home order is a socialist liberal agenda, and that by publicly stating he is not going to enforce it, it puts in people's minds that it's not important enough to wear a mask. Well, guess what? The sheriff responded to this and sent us a very lengthy statement, which I'm going to read just a few parts to you from it. He writes, apparently the congressman is wanting me to jail mask violators while simultaneously supporting the releases of violent offenders released from our jail. I strongly believe it is better to gain voluntary compliance based on the good of Riverside County residents instead of criminal enforcement of not wearing a mask, which would be perceived by many as arbitrary or unfair. The political agenda of the congressman is no secret. I'm sure he hopes there is a video of violent confrontation between a deputy and an unmasked resident during their arrest. I'm happy to disappoint him. If he spent more time in Riverside County, maybe he would see the majority of us are wearing masks. What is your response to that?
Peter, I'm a doctor, and my number 1, 2, and 3 priority is to save lives. And that's what the point is in my statement, is that all public officials need to take this virus seriously. We have hundreds of thousands, over 100,000 people who have died. Any elected official and public figure should be working on is how to save lives so that we can get through this as quickly and as safely as possible. And so the point is that this is a public health crisis, and we need to do everything we can to really help the public understand how to stay safe. Wash your hands, stay at home as much as you can. If you have to leave for essential errands, wear a mask and stay 6 feet apart.
Does it surprise you that this has become a hot button political issue?
It doesn't surprise me that it has become politicized, and we need to move away from the politics and towards the public health aspect. Like I said, Peter, our hospitals are full. The ICUs are pretty at capacity. We need to do everything we can to make sure that all public figures take this pandemic seriously, because we need to really educate the community to make sure that they have all the information that they need, that they take this seriously in order to save as many lives as we can.
And it's important for us to mention, my producers and I have invited Sheriff Bianco on this program to give him the opportunity to speak in depth about this and other issues. At this point, he has not accepted our invitation, but he's certainly welcome here anytime. But in the meantime, Congressman, the governor said today the virus continues to spread at rates we haven't seen since the beginning. Assuming that you agree with the governor on that, where do we go from here, and what does that mean for this reopening?
It means that our hospitals are really accommodating the surge that we're in. I just got a text from a local emergency physician this morning saying that it's quote unquote out of control. And we see that there are up to almost 3 times the hospitalizations now than we were at the peak of the initial bump or initial wave that we saw back in March, April time period. So what we need to do, Peter, knowing that Riverside County is at one of the highest risks demographically with the most transmission of coronavirus, local county needs to take local control and start issuing the mask order, the one that they rescinded back in May, and reverse that decision. And they also have to have a public press conference explaining what their surge intervention is going to be. I mean, this is really peak now, and we haven't had a press conference, as to my knowledge, Peter, on what the county's surge intervention and enforcement plan are going to be during this moment of high transmission and high hospitalization rate and high ICU usage.
Okay. Congressman Ruiz, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And to see Sheriff Bianco's full statement, we've posted it on our website, kesq.com.